we're still going to be happy with that decision. We're not going to have regret because we have a plan. You have to have a plan. It's very important for people to understand, like we're going to sell off like probably 80% of our crypto. It is not to cash out. It's to move money to the sidelines to reaccumulate for the next cycle.
Welcome back, everybody, to Altcoin Daily. My name is Aaron Arnold, joined with my brother Austin Arnold, and of course, the great, the powerful BitBoy Crypto, Ben Armstrong. When do I take profits, Ben? I'm making some gains. I wish I was making more, but certainly I'm making some gains. And now I'm trying to figure out, well, when do I sell? How do I think about higher caps versus lower caps? Well, I mean, how do we really know when to sell? Well, I mean, first of all, Ben, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, crypto is a beautiful thing to be in, and I love when we get together with the friends and hang out and chat, and you guys challenge me with tough questions.
Let's get right into it, Ben. First of all, thinking about when to take profits, what are some signs of the top of the market? I mean, for instance, we just saw Jimmy Fallon be public about buying a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. Like, what are some signs at the top of the market?
Well, I think very first, I would like to just simply, like, just right out of the rip, answer the simple question here, which is, when do you take profits? The day before it crashes. Thank you. I will talk to y'all later. It was
great episode.
Great show, guys. So I did want to get that little zinger in. Listen, here's the thing. I can understand how people can make the argument that that is a toppish signal for NFTs. That's not really a toppish signal for crypto in general, right? And crypto investments. And I think something we're going to see over the bear market is we're going to see a divergence, if you will, of the NFT market and the crypto market. I don't think they're necessarily gonna run the same line. And the reason for that is because it's collectibles and art and sports driven. It's not necessarily driven by the price of the tokens and the price speculation. So that's an interesting thing that, you know, we'll definitely monitor during the bear market when it hits. But in general, like when your grandma is asking you how to buy Bitcoin, not because you told her, like that's a good sign, right? Because your grandma's asking you how to buy Bitcoin, but you've been telling her about it for years, then, you know, that's not really a connection. But if you've never mentioned the word Bitcoin or Ethereum to your grandma, and your grandma shows up to Thanksgiving and says, by the way, Sonny, I was wondering, how do you buy that old XRP? You know, like that might be possibly a symbol. Retail FOMO is what drives blow off tops in markets. We have not seen. Now, it's hard to understand because we stay in an echo chamber here, like as content creators in crypto, and not just content creators, but people that are in crypto every single day. We stay in an echo chamber, and sometimes it feels like everybody knows about crypto, but it is not even close. And so when not MSNBC is talking about crypto, but when every day Fox News is talking about crypto, or when they're talking about crypto on The View, if that's even still a show, like that's a better sign rather than a financial channel because they're talking about crypto all the time. So the things that drive retail FOMO, those are things that can be toppish signals. But, you know, a lot of times we look and we just try to judge like we should have known this was going on. But if you really look earlier in the bull run, we could probably find different examples of that happening. Really what the top is when the price is overheated. The better sign of when a top is when every day for like weeks you look and everything is green, going up. That's a better sign than something happening in the media.
So piggybacking off of that, what's your strategy? How will you take profits?
Yeah. So how will we take profits? Well, we have price targets that we're looking at. We're looking at $100,000 for Bitcoin. We're looking at $10,000 for Ethereum, maybe $10,500 for Ethereum. But that doesn't mean that we're going to wait until it hits exactly that number. We're going to start scaling out as it gets closer to those prices. Right now, we take profits based on need, right? Like we just bought $1 million property. Like we have a building that we bought during the first part of the bull run. We're still not moved in yet. We've already got every square inch of the 38,000 square foot building spoken for. So like we know we need more land and more property for corporate offices. So we just pulled some money out to buy. that land, which, like I said, was about $1 million. So when you have a need, like, here's the point. When you have a need, it's okay to pull profits now if you have profits, right? You should be taking profits along the way, but your larger plan of taking profits as a strategy, it works better to kind of either dollar cost average out over a period of time or to have different price targets and just be okay if Bitcoin goes up to 250K and we sold everything between 90 and 110, we're still going to be happy with that decision. We're not going to have regret because we have a plan. You have to have a plan. It's very important for people to understand, like, we're going to sell off like probably 80% of our crypto. It is not to cash out. It's to move money to the sidelines to reaccumulate for the next cycle. Because we do believe there are at least 2 cycles left to where we will see continuous run-ups. Maybe they won't be as big, but 2 really solid bull cycles left in the next 8 years. So we are trying to move out of positions that are going to depreciate into something that doesn't depreciate, a stable coin, and wait for price targets to get below where we want them to be, and then reaccumulate. I use this example, you can actually, like, let's say Bitcoin goes to 100,000 during this bull market. Let's say it goes to 250,000 in the next bull market, which I think are realistic targets. People say, well, you just hodl. Okay, so you bought a Bitcoin. You bought a Bitcoin at $10,000 a year ago, okay? Or 13, 14 months ago. Bitcoin at $10,000. You buy one Bitcoin, it goes up to $100,000. You have $100,000. Goes all the way back down. Then it goes back up to $250,000. You have $250,000. Like, that's great. You turn $10,000 into $250,000. But if you take one Bitcoin at $10,000, it hits $100,000 and you sell it, and then it drops back down to $25,000 even, and you buy back in, you just made 4 Bitcoin. Now, when the price goes up 250K, you don't have 250K. You're a millionaire. Hodling is a lazy strategy over time. People that are educated on this market and understand the cycles, who've been in crypto for even 6 months, you have the education at your fingertips to be able to make those savvy financial decisions, to be able to not just make money in crypto, but compound your gains over time.
I think you're spot on. And by the way, one of the things that I related to the most that you said is dollar cost average out, same as you dollar cost average in. If your price target, and that's very personal to the individual, but if it's $100,000 for a Bitcoin, start looking at it. And if it goes higher, another 10% out, another 10% out. Very personal. No 2 people should have the same strategy. But for you, Ben, do you distinguish at all between low cap altcoins and high cap altcoins? Like, will you be getting rid of your low caps first?
For the most part, we will. There are some that, like, we run nodes with, like we're working on a Cartesi node, for instance. So we'll have a certain amount of that we'll have to hold on to run the node. You kind of think of it like this. You just think about a bear market like a minimalist. You want to be a minimalist in the bear market. You go to a guy's house and he's got a coffee table and a TV and an espresso machine, and that's all he's got there. You're like, what's going on here? He's like, well, my life's just simple when I do it this way. My portfolio is insane. Like, we have hundreds of coins. It's too much. I can't wait to kind of do that spring cleaning and move out of stuff to roll into the larger coins that we will keep. And then, of course, roll into, some things into stable coins. And here is a big misnomer in crypto. Okay. Let's say Cartesi, for instance. I'm an advisor for Cartesi. I love Cartesi. I think they're great. We are going to hold on to some Cartesi for the simple fact that, like I said, we're going to run a node for them that should be done pretty soon. But even if I sold 100% my Cartesi, if I sold 100% my Cartesi, that doesn't mean I don't believe in Cartesi. That doesn't mean that I'm selling out on the project. It just means that I think down the road, I'll have a better opportunity with the same amount of money to accumulate more, because I believe in the project I was doing, but I don't have to believe in the sustainability and consistency of price speculation. That's what a bear market is when the price speculation caves. That's going to happen pretty much across the board. So yes, you should always be thinking about rolling smaller projects into larger projects. Have some that you still take a flyer on, and you believe in maybe the next Bitcoin, or whatever the language you want to use is. But for the most part, you're going to be much safer rolling into the larger projects that have staying power for sure, because they've already stayed through multiple markets.
Interesting. All right. So what about this? You mentioned that, you'll be cashing out into stable coins, preparing. But, perhaps this cycle is, one of the first ones where the lending and borrowing market has, gotten so advanced that some people are talking about, well, don't sell it. If you live in America, that's a capital gains tax. What about borrowing against? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I try not to get like too much into the minutia of tax code, and the IRS and capital gains. Like, I look at capital gains as a good thing. I know that sounds like, the example I used before was like, it sounds like, somebody that's into BDSM, like you're getting punishment, but you're loving it. But what I mean by that is, look, when you make money, you get taxed. So when you get taxed, that means you made money. Like, that's a good thing. You got to build that in to how you view your entire portfolio. But I try not to get like too chained to like making decisions based off of taxes, because for me, like, crypto gets not fun then. And I feel handcuffed. Like, I'm making decisions based not on what I think about crypto, but like how I think it might affect my taxes down the road. I'm going to pay my taxes, and that's going to be what it is. Now, the question of lending protocols, I think you just have to be careful, because I know some DeFi platforms and some places, like, let's just take staking, for instance. We'll talk about lending in a second. But for staking, if you can stake stable coins and get a high return on, which will be ending soon, but that's a different conversation for a different show. But if you can do that, that makes a lot of sense in a bear market, right? But staking Bitcoin and Ethereum or less coins, for instance, staking a depreciating asset to earn more money that is also depreciating, like, I don't think it's the most effective way to use your money. And so I would definitely say move it all over to stable coins if you're going to stake while that's still an option for us. When it comes to lending, there are some of these loans where you can get upside down in them. Like, let's say you take out you lend against your crypto, and then the value of your crypto drops tremendously. I know on some of these DeFi platforms, there are liquidation triggers that if it goes below a certain point, you can actually get liquidated and you can lose all the money that you had. So it's not as simple as just, put money into these lending platforms, and then over time, like, you'll be able to eventually move that back out of crypto when the prices are higher. People got to remember, these bear markets are long. A lot of these crypto loans are 6 months long. 6 months is the most common term that I've seen for the lending platforms. So you just got to kind of figure, like, make sure if you're gonna do the lending that you know the ins and outs of the loan that you're getting, and that you're protected against liquidation. If the price drops 90%, 85% is the average drop for Bitcoin in a bear market, and that's just Bitcoin. Average altcoin loss is probably 97%. They almost all were down 97% at some point during, probably early 2019. So those are things you got to be careful with. We are looking at options for that, for doing some of that, but we're definitely not heaving all of our money into that basket either.
Solid perspective, really solid perspective. Ben, thanks for joining us on Altcoin Daily. Final thoughts for the Altcoin Daily audience.
Yeah, final thoughts. Taking profits is the most important thing in crypto. I mean, if you're not taking profits, you're doing it wrong. And a lot of times when you talk to people who are bitter in crypto, they will almost always tell you about when they were up and it changed. You're not going to be up forever. Prices don't go up forever. You got to have a proper, divestment strategy, almost not an investment strategy, but to pull your profits out, you need to have those strategies in place, or else you'll end up one of those old, bitter, sad people.
BitBoy Crypto, one of the largest, best crypto channels on YouTube. Links down below. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.